some more comments coming in there. Let's bring in our guests on the show. We've got with us Foram Parekh of Indiabulls Ventures, who's joining in right now. Foram, good afternoon to you. First off, your reaction to the name that has been announced, Ravneet Gill.
Yeah, good afternoon. The prima facie numbers that we are seeing, obviously it has come below expectations. But then the announcement of, MD and CEO, I think it is a very good news. That is taken as a very positive. As we were aware that numbers are going to come below expectations, and profit, we were expecting 1,100 crores on the bottom line. So it has come little, lesser than our expectations. But the fact that we have a successor, in place now. So that ambiguity is gone, and I think that is being taken very positively by the street. So we were all looking for a good successor, and I think that's what is announced now.
Okay. Well, Ida Duggal, our banking and economy editor, also with us because Ravneet Gill has been named as the new CEO as well. Ida, your thoughts?
So, obviously a big moment. Bank founded by Rana Kapoor. Finally, we'll have somebody else heading it. We won't go into the background of Rana Kapoor because obviously we know all of that. Brief mention on what Ravneet Gill represents. Certainly represents a fresh start in the sense that had you seen Rajat Monga getting named as the new CEO, there would have been a lot of overhang saying that Rajat Monga was there through this entire period when the bad loan problem built up, when the divergences were reported. So, that overhang sort of goes away with Ravneet Gill. Who is Ravneet Gill? Well, he's been in the foreign banking side. He did a lot in terms of trying to push Deutsche on the retail side. I don't know that he had much success because, Deutsche had its own problems globally. So, the few times that I've had a conversation with him, he's been very focused and very interested in the retail space. So he gets that India banking is about retail banking more than everything else. So, he certainly comes with that perspective. He doesn't come with direct experience of retail banking, but he does come with corporate banking experience. So for Yes Bank, we're just trying to go up from the mid-corporate segment eventually to large corporate. Certainly, Ravneet will be able to do that very well. And no doubt he'll be able to build on the strength that Yes Bank has already built, which is on the retail banking side. So, I think he's a good choice. He comes with a clean slate. I think just to mention, he's been approved by the board and the Reserve Bank of India. Remember, there also has to be a shareholder agreement on Ravneet Gill in the sense that the two Indian partners, as they're called, which is the Madhu Kapoor family and the Rana Kapoor family, also have to agree on Ravneet Gill. They both have to sign off on it. We don't know whether that agreement has already taken place or whether it happens after this. My understanding was that once the bank gets an approval from the RBI, it would then send that name on for approval from the Madhu Kapoor side because the rights of nomination are joint rights, as we've been saying over a period of time. So that may be a last thing that has to be cleared. But since this is an outsider coming in again, it isn't somebody who's been known to be close to Rana Kapoor, maybe that overhang will also go away. I can see that the stock is reacting. I haven't seen the numbers very closely, but certainly this removes one big issue for the bank.
But, the street obviously was also factoring in if somebody who's not associated with Rana Kapoor comes in, there'll be a big kitchen sinking process that will happen of the balance sheet, and which could negatively affect.
I don't know if that is the correct expectation right now because there has been such a deep AQR on banks. The RBI has spent 2 years, more than that actually, going through the fine print of bank balance sheets. So whatever was not deeply hidden, by deeply hidden I mean that whatever was in the books the RBI has already found. That is why the Yes Bank has seen both their bad loan numbers go up and the divergences that they reported for 2 years. I'm curious to see whether there's a divergence that has come through for this year as well. This is for last year, which would, the audit would have been completed during the quarter, so they would have given us some information on that this quarter. But, I think this kitchen sinking story has changed a little bit, even for public sector banks and for banks like this. Unless, of course, there was stuff happening which is way beyond the balance sheet. Now, that nobody knows of. And that nobody knows of. I have just one last word. I don't know if the release says anything about whether Rana Kapoor will stay on the board or not.
Okay, while we just try and do that, since we're also looking at the numbers, we'll just get in for what thought from Foram. Foram, the NII at 2667 crores, net profits at about 1001. I don't think there's too much of a change out there. You could argue for bits and pieces, but the numbers by and large seem to be okay. I think the bigger announcement probably is what's happened in terms of the change of the CEO. What's the What's the call that you have on Yes Bank after the numbers that you've seen and after this new CEO that has been announced?
Yeah, so NII has been very much in line with our expectations. And as I said, bottom line is a tad bit lower. But then the fact that we have a new successor, Ravneet Gill, he has a good name in the industry. And we feel that now the stock is poised to move upside from here on because all the negative news is discounted. I mean, all these while, the street was expecting negative news in terms of increase in asset qualities, which is very much reflected in the Q3 results. As a result, we feel that the stock is bottomed out and it can give a good upside of 10-15% from here on.
All right. What's the way forward now in terms of, obviously, we had seen the stock correct, valuations come back down from an entry point into Yes Bank?
Yes, we definitely feel one should definitely enter because, NII growth is good. And let's see now in the management commentary. I mean, we have a con call. So how do, the management pans out the future, details and everything. So, but then as of now, in terms of valuations, we are very comfortable with the price to book value, what it quotes, being a larger bank. So we do have a buy call on the stock.
All right. Provisions other than tax expense and contingencies is, I think, about 550 odd crores from last quarter. That has come off, I believe, for Yes Bank.
And the stock is up 9.5%, and I can safely assume, I'm sure both of us agree on that, it's got not as much to do with the results, but the fact that there is Ravneet Gill now. Yeah. Foram, what would you now believe happens to the P multiples of a bank like Yes Bank? If indeed, as I use your term, the overhang of who the new CEO could be is gone out of the window, aside of just the pure play quarterly performance, does anything happen to the price to book multiples as well, to your mind or in the minds of, you believe, institutional investors?
I do not see kind of re-rating happening in this stock. We do not expect the premium valuations being quoted to Yes Bank on this kind of result. The stock is only purely rallying because of the
new CEO. Precisely. Yeah. So that's my question to you. I mean, do you think that Ravneet Gill coming in changes the equation? Because as you said, the results are not the reason why the stock would go up 10.5%, right? It's gone up a bit.
Correct.
Would you believe that there could be a price to book change of sorts because of the nature of the new CEO alone?
So, because we just have to see how it works out. I mean, we cannot coach from right now. We just need to give him a couple of quarters to see how does he execute. But then, to what multiples it was trading earlier to what it has fallen, we feel that, currently it is justified. The risk-reward ratio is very much favorable. And that is why current market price, it augurs a safe bet, in the banking stock.
Safe bet, so, 217 in the banking space. Yes, Bank. That's Foram's call, right, Foram?
Yes.
Okay. Ajay Bagga, market expert. Foram, would love you to stay on, but if you are busy, we'll let you go on that note. But would love you to stay on and maybe answer a couple of questions in a bit, because we are also joined by other experts. Ajay Bagga with us on the phone line as well. Ajay, good having you. Thanks much for joining in. Not the results, but the fact that for the first time since any of us would remember, Yes Bank would be headed by a man other than Rana Kapoor, and that man is Ravneet Gill. Your initial thoughts on this?
No, it's good. We have seen that with the leadership change, when good leaders have come in both in Axis and ICICI, that was welcomed by the market. So this is somebody with a very strong track record. I worked with Ravneet at Deutsche earlier, and he brings a lot of credibility, a lot of very deep expertise to the job. And, given a free hand, I'm sure he'll make a lot of difference to the bank.
All right. Ajay, now that we have this out of the way, Yes Bank is now the focus going to remain on what happens operationally? Because, like Ira earlier on highlighted, unless and until there's something really hidden with regards to the operational performance, there's no really big kitchen sinking exercise that one should expect.
Yeah, we'll have to see if there is any AQR, skeletons that are still left over, if there is any provisioning that is still left over. And, this time's results clearly had the ILFS exposure also crystallized. And the problem with ILFS today is that SPVs which are cash flow positive are also reneging on their payments. So that will remain an overhang for the whole sector per se, and even for Yes Bank with about 2,000 crores plus of ILFS exposure. So that will be an issue.
Ajay, some updates there, by the way. They've classified one large account worth 1,913 crores as NPA in the December quarter. I would reckon that this would be ILFS, right? So they've already provided for it now.
Yeah, quite possible. Yeah.
So then, therefore, the question, Ajay, that if indeed kitchen sinking is no longer an issue and they have a guy like Ravneet Gill, I'm just quoting Devina's question back to you, would you reckon that the demons are out of the way? And therefore, to your mind, not specifically for a Yes Bank, but would there be a reset of the valuation derating that had happened for Yes Bank earlier?
Well, going back to the earlier valuations will take some time because overall we are in a very changed scenario going into May. So getting those types of price to book value will be difficult. But definitely from the very low levels that we have seen, we are seeing the stock immediately reacting 10% plus on this news. So obviously market is liking the certainty of new leadership coming in. And second, the big thing will be that there were a lot of shorts built in, and those are getting squeezed out. So let those work out, Neeraj, then we'll see. But overall, leadership-wise, with Mr. Brahmdutt as the non-executive chairman, and now Mr. Gill taking over as the CEO MD, I think that's very good news, and we have seen that with Axis, the reaction that happened in Axis when Amitabh Chaudhary was announced, and similarly when Mr. Bakshi came in ICICI Bank. So we've had two very recent examples where there was a re-rating or at least the shorts got squeezed out a bit.
What, and coming to the next question as to what Ravneet Gill will bring to the table in terms of expanding Yes Bank's foray and forefront into the corporate side, and how that will in turn work its way for the bank.
No, definitely, Mr. Gill has very deep relationships across corporate banks in India. He brings also a lot of exposure to international banking. So both taking Indian corporates international, as well as banking international companies coming into India. Both ways he has very deep experience. He is a corporate banker. And that will help Yes Bank, get into the MNC segment, for example. Overall, we have seen, in the past when foreign bankers have moved into private banks, mostly it has been very good experience. You look at Mr. Sopti, who came from Grindlace and ABN AMRO, Mr. Rana Kapoor himself having a foreign bank background, and the entire HDFC senior management, which was largely ex-Citibank, and the kind of value they created, or Vedi at IDFC, again being ex-Citi and ex-ICICI. So we've had these examples in the past, and the foreign bankers bring a lot of compliance orientation, very deep relationships, strong process orientation. I think that helps in the banking segment every time.
I think it certainly does. The press conference should be about to start. Okay, and we'll cut across when the actual press conference. This is, of course, the corporate communications team speaking, but we'll cut across when the actual team starts speaking as well. Ajay Bagga, just stay on. Let's have one final question with you, I'm sure. But before that, Foram, what's the pecking order in the private sector banking space for you right now after this announcement is done? The corporate-facing banks, mein?
Yeah, so in corporate-facing banks, the pecking order would be first HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, and then Yes Bank. Of course, we have seen the kind of growth rate, 20% growth rate is what HDFC Bank is sustaining over a couple of quarters. So we feel that HDFC Bank will top the list, followed by good performance by Kotak Mahindra Bank. And now the fact that we have good management at the helm for Yes Bank, hence we would also want to add Yes Bank in the pecking list.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much, Foram. Appreciate you taking out the time. That's visuals there, Mr. Rajat Monga, as we can see there. They're going to start talking really soon, and when they do, we'll cut across there. But Ajay Bagga, he's